Hello and welcome to the Art and Science of Influencing for busy executives and managers. This is part 4 of 9. I'm Helena Nyman, the president and founder of Nyman Consulting International and the Executive Center of Excellence, as well as a best-selling author. In part 3 of 9, we talked about assessing the situation, and we learned that the more you know about the other person's motivations as well as your own, the more likely you are to achieve your goal. A proper assessment is the prerequisite for the next step. Today we are going to talk about finding a hook. Once you understand the situation, there are 5 hooks that you can use to influence others. Some work better than others in different situations. This section provides an overview of each hook. Let me introduce you to the 5 hooks. Number 1 is logic. Number 2 are incentives. Number 3 is pressure. Number 4 is a compelling vision of the future. And number 5 are involvement and values. Let's take a look at hook number 1, logic. Logic includes facts, data, and reasons that matter to the other person and that cause him or her to agree that, intellectually speaking, your suggestion makes sense. Logic works well when you are perceived as an expert, when the situation is open to rational debate, and when you're willing to be influenced by new information. Since reasons should matter to the person you are trying to influence, you will have the most impact by focusing on costs and benefits that directly relate to the other person. For instance, let's pretend you're an accountant in your department and you did some research on a new accounting system. You go to your chief financial officer and you tell your chief financial officer that you could actually increase the efficiency and decrease the cost for an additional person in the accounting department with that new accounting system. I bet your CFO wants to listen to you what you have to say. Hook number 2 are incentives. Offering incentives works well when you're negotiating a mutually beneficial agreement or when you want somebody to change their behavior to meet your expectations. Incentives are things that you control and that you can offer or take away from the other person. In part 3, we looked at some of the incentives like money, time, public support, resources, advice, help, information, contacts, credit, friendship, and political cover. Hook number 3 is pressure. Let's see how an existing board member deals with Joe, an upcoming board member. Joe, my expectation is that board members contribute financially to the organization. While you've done a great job supporting the organization with your time, you haven't yet contributed any money or raised funds from other people. I'd really appreciate if you would either contribute $1,000 personally or raise that amount from your contacts. If you don't do that, then I'll have to raise this issue with the board. It might mean that you become a part of our advisory panel instead of being a full-fledged board member. In this case, the influencer offers a negative incentive by suggesting that the other person may not be able to get on the board if he doesn't contribute financially. Caution: use this hook only if absolutely necessary. In many cases, you could spoil your relationship with your friends, peers, or employees. Also, this hook is very difficult to use if managing up. Hook number 4 is a compelling vision of the future. As Steve Jobs said, if you're working on something exciting that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. This hook works especially well when kicking off a new project, when engaging a tired colleague, or when encouraging a teammate to be resilient in the face of a setback. At its best, a compelling vision results in inspiration, increased energy, and a shared sense of alignment and purpose. For instance, working together we could transform the industry. We'll both be famous, sitting in our office on Park Avenue, our phones ringing 24 hours a day. What do you think is possible if we work together? If your potential partner always wanted to have an office on Park Avenue, I bet he will take this offer with a handshake. Notice that a compelling vision is shared. The other person can join you in and build the vision with you. Using a metaphor from history, sports, literature, or the movies, or telling a story about your personal experience can achieve the same result. For instance, we are like Sylvester Stallone in Rocky. We are bruised. It's late in the fight, but now we can show them what we are made of. Make sure to use this hook only when there is a sense of common ground and relatedness. You and the other person should have shared aspirations, values, history, or at least complementary skills. If this piece is missing, your vision will seem glib. The last hook is hook number 5, involvement and values. Later on, I will also elaborate on social influence. This powerful hook is essential when you need the other person's commitment to succeed. It means asking open-ended questions, listening, being completely authentic, and building a solution that engages the interests and aspirations of the other person. There are 4 points to consider. Involve them in the process, make them a part of the solution, appeal to their values, and or acknowledge their interests and aspirations. For instance, you might begin an approach by asking for help. Joe, I'm really stuck. I thought I had let all of the board members know that one of their responsibilities is to contribute at least $1,000 per year. But we have a week to go before this year is up and I haven't received your check. Help me understand what's happening. Never involve the other person when you're not willing to be open and honest, or if you don't really want to hear their ideas. Otherwise, you will come across as manipulative and dishonest. At the same time, when involving the other person, you don't need to be wishy-washy. You can shape and guide the conversation to introduce and test your own ideas without manipulating. You can share concerns when you have legitimate issues about the other person's suggestions. You can focus on the other person's ideas that make the most sense to you. The key to this is communicate, communicate, communicate. This way there will be an alignment and the final outcome becomes a fusion of ideas and insights from both people, and both you and the other person leave committed to the same outcome and path. Let me briefly elaborate on social influence. One of these influences is peer pressure. Responding to peer pressure is a part of human nature, but some people are more likely to give in and others are better able to resist and stand their ground. Wikipedia. Peer pressure is influence that a peer group, observers, or individual exerts that encourages others to change their attitudes, values, or behaviors to conform to group norms. The influence of television advertising. Despite the growing strength of social networks, television advertising is still the most influential medium in people's purchase decisions. A report from the Television Bureau of Advertising and Knowledge Networks, Inc. reveals that 37% of television viewers make purchase decisions after watching advertisements on television compared to 7% for social networks. Impact and persuasion are two factors for a successful TV commercial that arouses viewer interest immediately and remains memorable. Today we discussed the 5 hooks of influencing, and you should be ready to do your assignment. In this assignment, I would like you to prioritize the potential hooks for each individual you try to influence. Let's pretend you have a very logical individual. So in this case, you would put a circle around number 5 under logic. Incentives maybe work, so you could have maybe a 3 or even a 4. Pressure probably won't work, so you circle number 1. Vision is probably also a number 1, and involvement and values is maybe a number 1 or 2. As said before, you go with each individual you try to influence through this rating. This rating will play an important role later on in creating an influencing strategy. Please be aware that most of the time you don't only use one hook, you start to transition between different hooks and often even skip back and forth between different hooks. This now completes our module 4 about the 5 hooks of influencing. I look forward to seeing you in the next module where we talk about structuring the approach of influencing. If you have any questions about today's module, please email me at nyman@consultant.com or visit our website at nymanconsulting.com.